There's actually a there's actually a thing there that says we could start an intro message. That's what we need. We need an intro message.
We need an intro message. Yeah.
Need an
Besides
intro.
us just babbling.
Yeah,
I could sing along, but the
message.
only songs I sing are pop songs and like from the 70s and stuff, and that's copyright. And when I sing those songs, like John Denver and Simon Garfunkel, and my cat comes. She loves to hear me sing. The old songs especially.
It's funny you say that because Zeke, the marketing director dog, Zeke is the same way. If I start singing, he starts getting really excited and starts running around the place. And I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
Callie will wake up out of a deep sleep in the other end of the house when the sun is coming in, ideal prime cat nap time. She will wake right up out of that deep sleep and appear on my chest, and she'll need me, and she'll purr. And if I keep singing, like if another good song comes on, I keep singing, she'll start singing along in this trilly, chirpy mews, and it's just amazing. And purrs. It's
Well, we should probably do a formal introduction here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Misti Media Live. I am Editor-in-Chief Jay Hartman. With me is my wonderful co-host, Linda Kay Hardie. Those of you that joined us on our previous episodes and are back, thanks so much for coming back and seeing us again. For those of you that are new, welcome. This is your little peek behind the curtain of some of the movers and shakers and things that go on here at Misti Media. We're always happy to be able to bring somebody new to you that you might not know. Do want to stress that our channel is not monetized in any way. We don't have any sponsors. Our company survives strictly off of you folks picking up our titles, and that in turn allows me to pay royalties to our wonderful and talented authors. The lovely Linda Kay Hardie, our Vanna White, is busy holding up all of her titles because she's that way. Down in the comments below.
Here's when I'm not in, but it's good.
Down in the comments below, you folks will see a link to Linda's page on our White City Press website with a link to all of her titles. Very special for this show, you will see a jot form that's up here to your right. That's pinned to the top. That's a special order form that's good just for this show and this video. It'll still be good for a few days after if you're rewatching after we've aired. But we're featuring specific titles today from our featured guest at a special low price of $10 per paperback with free worldwide shipping. And you'll be able to get each book in each of her series for $10 each, but we're also offering a special bundle deal that's never been offered before. Now, who are we talking about for today? Well, she's a lady of many talents. I have had the luxury of working with her for, it's going on about 15 years now that she and I have known each other. She's a marvelous author in several different categories of mystery. You can't really read her stuff and go, oh yeah, she's formulaic, or oh, she always writes this kind of story. You never get the same thing twice from her. She is,
but it's all good.
It's all good, of course. Yes.
All good.
She is phenomenally talented. And we are really, really excited to have my dear friend here. Everybody, please give a warm Misti Media welcome for Lady Kaye George. Kaye.
There, I turned my mic on. Hi, I'm here.
Hello, Miss Kaye George. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm very cold. We're supposed to get, they're saying 2 feet of snow, but I just can't believe we're going to do that. But
wow. And I'm sitting here wearing a sweater in Nevada, like, for those of you that don't know, the Misti Media Studios the Misti Media Studios are located in Las Vegas, and Linda is beaming in by satellite from her undisclosed location due to the Government Witness Protection Program.
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, which is usually not this cold.
Linda has had some input on the Epstein files, and it's become very important to protect her at all costs. So we are,
and then there's the stuff I can't talk about. I mean, Area 51, and
I thought I saw you. I thought I saw you down here a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you, in your travels, Linda, have you uncovered any frozen Neanderthals?
Only in fiction. I'm pointing down to Kaye because she's right there.
What an amazing segue.
I know.
That wasn't planned or anything. Kaye first came on my radar with a fantastic book that really, you talk about when you're looking for original ideas in writing, and her book, the first book in her People of the Wind series was called Death in the Time of Ice. And, don't let me say it, Kaye, you tell the kind folks out there what the premise of the book is.
Well, should I read the back part of it?
Or in your own words, whichever you prefer, in case I didn't do a good enough job with the words on the back.
Better at writing than speaking. Enga Dancing Flower knows her Neanderthal tribe is in trouble. The dark seasons are becoming longer, and the mammoth herds are fleeing south. When the tribal leader is found stabbed to death, the new leader thinks Enga did it. Expulsion and certain death loom. Enga must find the murderer to save her tribe and herself.
And then two more books followed that in the series. We had Death on the Trek.
Well, they have to get away from actually, it's the ice shelf that's coming down. This is the beginning of the last ice age. So they have to go where the mammoth are going. So there's Death on the Trek.
And then I'm not going to say concluded the series because we never know. But you followed that one up with Death in the New Land, which is one of my all-time favorite covers, by the way.
Yeah, I like that. They're settled in an area that I have a real area in mind, and I tried to stay as faithful to that area as it would have been 30,000 years ago as I could. So.
And can you tell us where that is?
Yeah, if I could remember. Somewhere in.
I'll withdraw the question.
It's somewhere down in Arizona, New Mexico.
Objection, Linda, you're badgering the witness.
There's a really distinctive mountain there that I like the shape of. So anyway.
So Kaye, I mean, normally when we hear about historical mysteries, we've got people that are writing about the 1800s, or God forbid now what I can't handle is historical mysteries are taking place in the 1980s, which just blows my mind. But
wait till you get to 2002 or something.
What made you decide to write about such a different period of time that most people would not have gone after?
Well, I don't call them historical. I call them prehistory mysteries.
Okay.
And it rhymes. See. I've just always been interested in fossils and archaeological digs, and I've gone fossil hunting. I've never had the chance to go on a dig, but that's a big lack in my life. I found a huge a really perfect trilobite once, and that was a big thrill. And so I kind of follow the news of archaeology, and at the time when I started writing this, they were analyzing a Neanderthal genome, the DNA, and they were getting more and more information every week, sometimes almost every day. They were discovering new things about Neanderthals, and I became really fascinated in what they were. And I wanted to counteract the insurance commercials that showed them as dumb cavemen, knocking women over the head and dragging them by their hair, because that's not who they were. They were, just think, if you and about 15 other people, do you think you could bring down a mammoth? They could. I mean, they were talented people. So I wanted to portray them in a better light than they had been portrayed. And I like to write mysteries, so one of them had to die.
One one of the other things that I thought was particularly striking about it is that you chose to go with a strong female protagonist.
Well,
which I mean, it's not that that's unusual for mystery, but that does seem like it would be a little unusual for prehistory.
I don't think so. I mean, think about it. If you didn't know anything about, if you didn't have any science books and biology classes, you would always know who your mother was. You wouldn't always know who your father was. And I made the whole society matriarchal. The leader is a woman, and they know their lineage through their mothers. The men are contributors, of course, but that's not their lineage. Their lineage is through their mothers, because I think ancient people would more likely be able to do that.
And there is a lot of research, academic research, that backs that up. The idea of the matriarchal societies, and so many of the really earlier societies were matriarchal. We don't have as many records because, the warlike patriarchal societies came in and destroyed a lot of that, or built out of that. So yeah.
There are a couple.
I agree with your. There
are a couple things that support that. Modern day Jewish people, they take their Jewishness from their mothers, and that's they're thousands of years in the making. And there was another thing I was going to say that it just flew out of my mind. But anyway.
What was the reception like when the book came out? How do you think people took to it?
I don't think anybody ever objected to any of my artistic licenses, which was making them matriarchal, making the women the main hunters. Those are the license. Oh, and I also took artistic license to place them in North America, because I've always loved the megafauna in North America at that time, and I know the megafauna of North America. I wasn't as familiar with what was in Europe. So and just because they haven't found them here doesn't mean they weren't here, right? So I put them here, and nobody's ever objected to that. Aside from those few things, I really followed as closely as I could to the theories that the main theories. But some of the things, like Linda says, that I came up with have really been supported later on with more research.
Yeah. And there was something, I'm so old that I have no sense of time anymore. The day can be yesterday, or it can be 10 years ago. But I think within like the last 8 or 9 years, maybe, there were big studies released saying that, wow, by golly, these cave people, women, did a lot of the hunting.
And and the other thing is, it was contested whether they could speak or not. And I gave them limited speech, and I gave them sort of a telepathy. They could read each other's minds, like it's said that the Australian Aborigines can do. And I'm also a frustrated linguist, so I did a lot of research on language. I researched the early the ancestor of our language that's unknown but is kind of guessed at, the European root language. And I studied how babies learn to speak and how people with speech defects learn to speak. And I made it the easiest for them to pronounce the words that I made up. And I gave them a language. I made up a language, and that was really fun.
Wow. Yeah. There you are, up with Tolkien and so many others. And yeah.
And then Death in the Time of Ice won the award for?
It was nominated for Best First Novel, and for an Agatha. I guess that isn't on the cover here, but yeah, it was. So I was thrilled with that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So there's been a number of years that have passed now since you wrote the last book in the series. And as Linda pointed out, there's been so much more scientific discovery.
Yeah.
Do you find you still hold the same amount of interest in the topic, or is it, now that the books are behind you, a little less so? How does any of it spark a possibility of a revisit to the world you created?
No, I'm still fascinated with the topic, but I don't know if I could write another one. Those books are really, really research intensive. I have to research every other paragraph to make sure I'm getting it right. And it takes at least a year of a lot of work to write one. So I would have to take a year away from writing anything else to write another one.
It definitely comes through when you read the books. You can tell, I mean, you're already a skilled author, but you can tell how much research went into it. It feels real. I mean, when you read it.
Yeah, at the beginnings of some of the chapters, I've quoted some of the research that I used in my source, that something that'll be used in that chapter. I was advised when I first started out, I had the first 50 pages professionally edited before I went anywhere with it. And she suggested that I not do that with every chapter. So I took her advice and I do it with some chapters, not all of them.
I remember that being a discussion way back in the day too, about whether or not we should include those in a fiction book. Like, did it take somebody? Yeah. Did it take somebody out of the story by having this quick blurb of nonfiction at the beginning of it? And I'm glad you stuck. I'm glad you stuck by your idea, because I think in the end it worked beautifully. I think it really hung in there.
Yeah, and
I like to be able to trust historical type or any type of story that has, real solid knowledge in it. I like to be able to trust that is true to the best of research.
And that's kind of why I did it. I didn't want people to say, "Oh, she's so off the wall. She's way out there. None of this could ever have happened." I just wanted to support some of that, so I could shut that down before it started.
it definitely brings a sense of legitimacy to the work, without a doubt. I mean, I think it elevates it to, it elevates it from being a common mystery, if you will, to something that's almost more literature, with a mystery bent to it, if that makes any sense.
Heavens, no, I don't write literary fiction.
No, but
I'm kidding.
but the accuracy of it, and it elevates it from just being, your standard whodunit. It takes it to a whole new level.
Well, now, I love them, but they're hard.
Now, you were doing some short stories at the same time, right?
Oh, I started getting short stories published way before I got any novels published.
When did you have your first item published?
Oh, maybe about 2004 or 5 or so.
And that was a short story?
Yeah, I was writing novels and sending them to hundreds of agents and publishers and getting turned down year after year. And I love to read short stories, so I just started turning in some short stories. Some markets came to my attention, and then I started getting short stories published before I got any novels published. And honestly, I think some writers are short story writers and some writers are novelists. I don't know if anybody's really, really good at both, but I'm more of a natural born short story writer. I think in short stories, and I like short stories occur to me all the time, and I like to write short stories. It's work for me to put out a novel. It's not work for me to write a short story.
It's funny you say that, because I've talked to so many authors that, trying to encapsulate an entire story in the short story format, just makes them absolutely insane. Or I've had people that have tried to submit short stories to me, and I've had to kick them back and be like, look, I know you're aiming for a short story, but holy crud, everything you're trying to accomplish, between the first and last page really just needs to be expanded out to be a book. How did you get into short story writing?
By reading short stories, I guess. When I was actually in high school and college, I used to submit short stories to the New Yorker and what was then the Atlantic Monthly. It's now just the Atlantic. and collected piles and piles of rejection slips. I was trying to write literary short stories. And eventually it dawned on me that what I liked to read were mysteries. So I should write mystery short stories. But I spent years trying to get a literary short story published. Never ever did that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I went to Florida State University and got my degree in literature from there. And you were not in any of the writing classes. You were never allowed to write genre fiction. It was an automatic F if you attempted to write anything that wasn't literary fiction. And that was not my bent. I mean, that was not what I was interested in.
Well, fortunately, that attitude is changing, at least in some locations, because University of Nevada, Reno recently, like about 14, 15 years ago, started an MFA program, and the focus, and that's Masters in Fine Arts, the focus of the literature there is genre. And
wow.
the faculty, one of them that's the director of it now, Christopher Koch, he is a literary fiction writer, brilliant. But so many of the others, Susan Powellwick, who is now retired, a science fiction writer, amazing science fiction writer. And so genre is not only accepted, but taught there. And so some of the barriers, some of the snootiness is loosening up.
What university is that?
University of Nevada, Reno.
Reno, okay. Yeah, I went to Northwestern in Illinois, and I took some composition courses. One of them was taught, well, two of them were taught by a man named, well, I don't know what his name is, E. Hungerford, his last name, Professor Hungerford. And he was the man who discovered Saul Bellow. So that's the kind of writing we were doing there, was, literary fiction.
Yeah, the chief muckamuck at Florida State was a guy by the name of Jerome Stern, and he was, he had written a few kabillion books on the art of writing, and so mandatory text was always his books, but it was like, which is funny because I took classes in things like vampire fiction. Like I mean, I actually had an entire semester of nothing but vampire fiction, and I mean, it was brilliant. But then to not be able to turn around and write, not be able to turn around and write about it just seemed so ridiculous.
One of the things Susan Powellwick was known for is her Tolkien classes, J.R.R. Tolkien, because she would teach a Tolkien class. For a while, it was like once a year. She'd do it like, I think, every spring semester, something like that. And the waiting list to get into that class. I mean, she is a super expert. I'd like to see her and Stephen Colbert head to head arguing Tolkien. Whew, that would be great. But yeah, it's great to see things like that. But the dichotomy of, you can take this literature class, but you can't write it.
Right.
I took a poetry course from the poet laureate of England at the time, Stephen Spender. And that was a very bad experience. I loved writing poetry. I'd been writing poetry since I was a little girl, and he didn't like anything I wrote. And I remember at the end of the class, everybody went in and had a little interview with him, and he just sat there and in his little British accent, he says, "Why do you write poetry? Like, what do you think you're doing, And I said, well, I like to put the sounds together. I like alliteration. I like rhyming, and I like telling a story with verb. Why do you write poetry?" And I just thought, I don't like your poems either. So I just, that's what I got out of that class.
What did you go to Northwestern to study?
My major was in Russian studies.
Wow.
I have kind of a talent for languages. I started majoring in French, but I got really interested. It was during the Cold War, and I had this philosophy that the way you deal with enemies is to understand them. And so I wanted to understand the Russian people. And I was starting too late. I didn't switch majors until officially my junior year. I was starting too late to major in the Russian language. I only had 2 years of it. So I majored in Russian studies, and I studied the politics, the history, the geography, the literature. We had one course in Russian literature, which I love Russian literature. And that's really what drew me to them. And so I just learned a lot about Russia, and I can say a little bit of Russian.
Have you made it through World and Peace? War and Peace.
The movie?
No, the book.
Oh, no, the movie and the book. Yes, of course.
Wow. See, that is impressive.
I've read all the Russian literature that I can.
So now we're going to go from prehistory and go from Russia. We're going to skip over to the state of Texas, where you set up your next world with our lovely protagonist, Imogene.
To the ridiculous, yes.
And the hilarious. The first book in that series being Choke. Tell me how this series came about.
Well, I was trying to get something published, and I couldn't. And I thought, the hell with it. I'm going to write the stupidest thing I can. She's too stupid to live. She does everything wrong, and she still solves crimes. And she lives in a single wide with her mother. She has a daughter by a trucker that she never caught the name of. And just decided to write the most ridiculous story I could. And a lot of people love it.
Somebody once said it was the feel-good white trash series. It's like you're rooting for her, but at the same time you're like, how? Like, how are you doing this? So, I mean, it is hilarious. I mean, they're fun. They are truly, truly fun reads. I mean, they are for folks that like humor with their mystery. Well, now see, that's interesting. That leads me to a question. How essential do you think humor is when it comes to a mystery?
I can't help but put a little bit of humor in all my writing, even my dark stuff. I've got at least a pun or something. I don't know. I'm a frustrated stand-up comic. I would love to have been a stand-up comic.
Really?
Job. Yeah. Just be on the road and make people laugh every night.
Uh-huh.
I love making people laugh. When I can go online and say something and everybody laughs at it, I love that.
Yeah.
Did you ever get started on that career of stand-up comedy? Did you ever have any experience doing it?
No. My experience on the stage is mostly playing violin.
Oh.
I
hope they didn't laugh at you then.
No, they don't laugh at me then. I hope.
Oh, she'll slice them across the throat with the bow. And they'll be
that would wreck the bow. I can't do that. No.
and let's see that could be in
Sex and Violins.
Yeah, I'm looking for the copy. I can't find it, but yeah.
So
yeah, that would have made it.
So the first book was Choke, and then let's see, the second book was Broke. If I'm not mistaken.
No, the second one was Smoke.
Smoke. That's right.
The dead guy's found hanged in the smokehouse.
And then Smoke, we go.
And her daughter gets a pet pig.
That's right. That's the debut.
I always wanted a pet pig, so that's the pig there. And then Broke is the third one, and I went all out and put a ghost in this one, a real live ghost. She's finally gotten up enough. Okay, at the end of Choke, was it the end of Choke or Smoke? I think it was the end of Choke. My characters did this thing that you love it when characters do this. They did something that I hadn't planned, and it totally shocked me. There was this policeman, and he was
spoilers.
Fairly competent, but well, at the end of that novel, they kissed in the park, and they became an item. And I thought, well, they're not suited for each other. That's unlikely, but they just did it. So in the third book, she finally gets enough wherewithal to move out of the single wide and buy this old broken down haunted house that nobody wants, and moves into it with her daughter and her pig. Very few houses would take a pig also. So
Yeah.
this was about the only one.
And then you continued from there on to the more recent one, which was Choke.
Stroke.
Oh, God.
Oh,
I'm getting all my oaks. All my oaks are
Stroke. Yeah. I tied the dead guy to a pump jack, and he was like going up and down with the pump.
as one would.
Yeah, I just have always wanted to do that, so I did it.
So meanwhile, while these were going on, you also had a sort of undercover career going on as a writer. You were not writing as Kaye George. You had another book series. Can you tell us about how that one came to be and what happened to that series?
Well, that was, I finally got my agent after 10 years of butting my head against the wall, beating it bloody, at Bookends, which is a very good agency. And the agent kind of outlined what they wanted from me. They wanted this cat cozy, and I'd never written a cozy really, but so I read some, and cat cozies are the thing. If you're going to write a cozy, you should put a cat in it, or at least a dog. So yeah, when we had, so one of the Barnes and Nobles in Dallas, I think, where I lived there, they said this one woman came in the first Tuesday of every month when the books came out, and they had a circular book display, and she bought every book with a cat on the cover. So, so they wanted this cat that could solve mysteries, and they didn't want the cat to speak or communicate with anybody. They just wanted the cat to. It was the Fat Cat series. The cat was too fat. They kind of somehow went into Garfield territory there. But anyway, the cat was always trying to get something more to eat, and it would sneak out and do things and try to get to places where it could eat things. And it would discover murder scenes and clues and things in the course of doing that. So they wanted a few passages, I think they put them in italics, of an overview of the cat, just a omniscient view of the cat doing its thing, and then the heroine finding the cat and solving the mysteries. And there were 3 books in that series. I didn't bring those in here with me. There was Fat Cat at Large was the first one. Fat Cat Spreads Out was the second one. And that was fun. I said it in a state fair. They gave me license to really plot the second and third ones.
And we should say they who they is.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was an imprint of Penguin, which is now Random Penguin or Penguin Random. It was Berkeley Prime Crime, which doesn't exist anymore. And it was Mass Market Paper Book, which they've just announced won't exist anymore. But they were wildly successful. The first one, because just by luck, Walmart picked it up, and I sold tens of thousands of copies of that book. They didn't pick up the second 2. So it looked bad in my numbers that the second 2 didn't sell.
What was the reason why they had you writing under a different name?
They just wanted to differentiate it. They wanted it to be different than what I'd been writing before, which it was. And 2 good friends of mine, Janet Koch and Janet Boland, who writes under the name of Ginger Bolton, they had just gotten really good contracts. And I said, clearly my name needs to be Janet. And Cantrell seemed to go with Janet. They let me pick the name, Janet Cantrell, and I picked that name.
but unfortunately, in the end, you really kind of got screwed by this contract.
It got canceled. Yeah, it just got dropped.
And as a result of it being essentially work for hire, you didn't get control over any of the books that you wrote.
Yes, that's the other part of it. It was work for hire. They own the name Janet Cantrell. They own all the characters. They own the titles. They own the books. They have the copyright to everything. I get nothing but the checks that I got. So I can't use any of it. But I keep getting people, this is many years later, people keep saying, when are you going to write a new Fat Cat book? So I decided I needed to write a new cat cozy. And my daughter came up with Comfy Cat. And I thought, oh, that sounds nice. I'll write the Comfy Cat series. And this cat does communicate with its owner. I'm in the process of writing these, and somebody's in the process of publishing them.
Yes, I'm happy since we do have everything inked. We can definitely announce that Misti Media's imprint, White City Press, is the home of Kaye George's Comfy Cat series, and we should be seeing that first book by early summer. We want to get it out there. We want to get out there for beach reading and have when everybody's on vacation. It's the perfect vacation book. It's the perfect book for you to be able to just sit back with a cold drink and listen to the beach and listen to the ocean and read a really good book that everybody's going to really love. It's they're so much fun. They really are. But yep, Kaye and I are working on edits right now on the first book. And we're aiming for that release, looking at early summer. Plus, we still have yet another series of Kays that are due back out. Do you want to tell folks a little bit about that one? Those are also coming from White City Press.
Are you talking about the Crest of Caraway?
I am.
Okay, that's my experience as a musician led me to write those. I'm a violinist, but I wanted to make my character a keyboardist because I thought that would be a little easier to work with. So she lives in Minnesota, where I used to live, and solves crimes from there. I wrote those so long ago, I'm a little fuzzy on the details, but she got a job as a church organist, but I think that was in the second book. I don't know. I don't remember, but I was a church secretary when I was in Minnesota, and let me tell you who knows all the dirt.
Oh, I'm sure. All the gossip.
So I had an affair going on between a couple of the church people and some stuff, and somebody got thrown off the balcony.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I was saying at the beginning of the show, which is you have such a talent for being able to create worlds, and no two of those worlds are exactly alike. I mean, there's some authors who are like, oh, I'm going to go off and write a new series, and you go read the new series, and you're like, oh, okay, you basically rehashed what you did in the first series, and changed a few names and maybe a couple locations, but it's the same book. You never create the same world twice. Your stuff is always original.
Well, it's not a bad thing. I mean, Dick Francis wrote the same book over and over with the same character over and over, and I loved all his books, but I would get bored doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a testament to your talent that not only were you able to create all these individual worlds, you did it all well. Like, I mean, it's not like none of your books ever come across as, oh, she phoned it in with this one. Like, she doesn't, you could tell she wasn't really feeling it, but she felt the need to write it. Like, no, that.
You want to see some of the unpublished? I have some unpublished things that might fit that category.
So a reminder to everybody watching today, we are not a monetized channel. We also do not have any advertisers. Any money that my authors make come directly from the sales of their books. So up at the top right is a jot form that's been pinned there. We're offering a special deal on Kaye's 2 series, The People of the Wind and the Imogene Duckworthy books. Each book is $10 individually with free worldwide shipping. Or we're also offering for the first time ever special bundle deals where you can save $5 if you buy the entire People to Win series, and you can save $10 if you buy the entire Imogene Duckworthy series. Plus, if you pick up the bundle, we're also going to throw in a couple of Kaye's short stories, including one of my absolute favorites, the Bavarian Crisp Caper, which every year for National Donut Day, we make sure we get the word out on that story again. Again, special pricing on all of these books. You would be saving quite a bit buying it through our special jot form up there. It's also located down in the notes section of this show. There's also a link there to Kaye's webpage, her homepage, as well as her author page with our imprint, White City Press. Before we wrap up with you, though, Kaye, I do want to get a little bit serious for a second. I know a lot of the folks that are watching our show, many of them that are watching have recently lost spouses. It's been rather sad, and I've been in discussion with folks about how they're dealing with it. You actually went through a process of a long illness with your husband, and he has passed.
Yes.
And that took. I was with you for part of that journey, and I was wondering if you might share with our audience, kind of how things came about, how you held together during that process, and how it affected your writing, and what has that done for you coming out the other side?
Well, it was he was dying. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and a year later he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and he kind of lost his mind and his body at the same time. And thankfully, it was over a period of 4 years. I mean, he was obviously going into Alzheimer's years before that, but we didn't know that until it became obvious enough that we needed to get a diagnosis and some medication. But it was 4 long, hard, horrible years. One of the best things is that the Cubs won the World Series before he died. And that man, I always told him he should have been a sports broadcaster. He was a financial analyst for Northern Telecom and NCR. And then he had a midlife crisis and became a Methodist minister. I don't know where that came from, but he retained sports statistics in his head after he didn't know who I was. He didn't know who I was, where he was living, what town this was, or anything. But he could tell you who played what position and how many points they scored in what game in what town for what team. Always. So it was really great that the Cubs won the World Series before he died. I got so much help from so many people, personally and online. The funeral home had a grief support group, and hospice had a grief support group, and they were so valuable to me. And I don't know how I would have made it through without them and some of my online friends who lost their spouses at the same time. And I decided to, I think you want me to put this up, right?
Yes, please.
I decided to pay it forward. I put in this book all the help that I got. It's a very slim book, but all the things that you have to do, financial, insurance, banks, real estate, all that stuff that you have to do. Our family recently, my daughter's husband lost his mother, and their father is left to deal with everything, and she handled the bills and things. So I sent him a copy of this, and he called me, and we talked for about a half an hour. He thanked me for it and said it was a big help. So I just needed to pay it forward. And
where can folks get this book?
They can email me to it, and they can buy it, or I give away a lot of copies. I just think it's something I feel I need to do. What was I going to say? I don't know, something. I was going to say that some people actually who've lost a parent or a child have actually said they got benefit from the book too. I wrote it for people who've lost a mate, but there's just good information for whoever is left behind, I think.
How did that experience affect your writing during that time when you were?
Oh, I couldn't write for a while. I was at the end of a book. I had a book that was almost done, and I think it was due. He died in September. I think that book was due in December or November, and the publisher said, "Don't worry about it. Get it to me when." That was a vintage sweets series for Kensington, and I was on the last one of those, and I did turn it in January. It was mostly written, but I just couldn't write for a couple of months at all. I had so much to do. I kept needing to get another copy of the death certificate I think I needed like 10 of them for different things.
Yeah.
So
How did you, what got you back into writing? What got you back into the frame of mind where you could focus on that once again?
I had a deadline. I had a book to do. It was the third in a series. So I needed to get that book in. So that got me back into it. Also, I have a group of writers online that I'm very, very good friends with. And I don't know how I would get through life for the last 10 years without them, but it was originally formed to help each other with characters and plots and stuff, but we tell each other everything. And there's one in California, one in Canada, 2 in Michigan, and one in New York. We're all over the place, and we just really are simpatico.
I think it's one of those things that people don't realize about the publishing industry and the writing industry is that there's really not a whole lot of competition that goes on between authors or goes on between publishers. I mean, sure, there's awards that everybody would like to earn, but nobody gets nasty about it. Nobody, everybody is trying to uplift everybody else.
I think mystery writers who we discuss how to kill people and where to hide bodies and really there's things that, and rigor mortis, but I think they're the nicest people in the world. I think we get our aggression out on the page.
Exactly. And besides,
nice person,
besides with the mystery and crime writers, if you have a beef with somebody and somebody moves away, if you can't prove anything, if there's no body, so I think some of that,
I do, people that cross me that I really don't appreciate, I like to make them the killer because nobody likes the killer.
Right.
I don't kill them off. I make them the killer because sometimes you like the person that gets killed.
I've been in the book business now for we won't say how many decades, but once I started a publishing house 15 years ago, the one thing I just really learned, especially from the publisher standpoint, is how much indie presses want to see other indie presses succeed. Like back before Elon Musk got his hands on Twitter was this amazing place where like every publisher would go on and talk about every other publisher's releases would leverage somebody else's announcement a little bit to announce theirs. I mean, I'm working on a deal right now. We have a book coming out from an author where she has another series coming out from another publisher, and we're going to do reciprocal postings in the books. They're going to get a sample in the back of her book from them of one of our titles. And when we go to re-release one of her titles, we're going to put a sample of her new book in the back of that, because it's this wonderful thing that there's enough room for everybody, you know, and
we all rise together.
Absolutely. It's such a hard business as it is to be successful. I mean, I look at how many publishing houses closed their doors in 2025, and it was really, I mean, really sad. We've picked up a number of authors from those houses, and you know, it just makes me so happy when I see publishers supporting other publishers, or authors supporting, you know, other authors and helping get the word out. And, you know, everybody being so excited when an author announces a new release. And boy, the number of people that are like, cannot wait for your Comfy Cat series, you know, who know you from the Janet Cantrell days of, and love, and that series was so beloved. And for, you know, what a terrible blow for, you know, the author and the reader that, you know, the publisher decided, no, that's you get none of that.
Yeah. It was about the time that Random House took over Penguin, and they fired a lot of the editors and a ton of the authors. They got rid of a lot of people during that.
It was a bad time. I remember that well, and I remember getting an email from somebody and saying, "Oh my God, did you hear what happened to Kaye?" And I mean, my brain went some much worse places. But then I started, then I started hearing from a number of people like, "Did you hear what happened to Kaye? Did you hear what happened to her series?"
Oh.
And you know, I was like, it's just such a horrible thing for you to put all that love and attention and effort, you know, into a book, and then in the end, you know, well, I mean,
I was very disappointed. That was my chance at stardom, to be with Penguin, but but you know, the other thing is, nobody reads just one book. That's why we all support each other. I mean, nobody can write books as fast as other people can read them, so we need to tell them about the other books.
Especially mystery and romance are still the two biggest genres when it comes to reading. And there are people out there who are just voracious. I mean, going through multiple books a day. I wish I had that kind of time. You know, I guess I'm sort of reading multiple books a month, but you know, not in the nice relaxing way that I would like to. You know, with a cup of cocoa and my dog at my feet. So, Kaye, it sounds like 2026 is going to be a good year for you. You've got a number of books coming from White City Press. What else do you have? What else is going on with you this year that we should know about?
Oh, I don't know. You've taken me by surprise. I mean, we're just starting the year. Honestly, I have to recover from a really traumatic physical thing. My patellar tendon tore in August, and I spent 2 really, really horrible 2.5 months in a rehab. In fact, I've actually started to write a little bit of Murder in the Rehab.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, the food was so, I don't know how anybody survives on that food. And there was there were some people there. So there were some very good people there. But this is a 6 to 12 month healing process. I was in a full leg cast from my hip to my toes, from my hip to my ankle. And then I was in a full leg brace for many, from August until October. And I had to learn, I'm still learning how to walk again, how to bend my, I'm doing physical therapy to bend my leg, and my muscles are gone. I've got to build up my quads again so I can move my leg and walk like a person. It's a really hard recovery. My doctor said usually football players get this, but I don't get the money of a football player.
We'll have to see if we can change that. With all your releases this year. Well,
buy more books. Buy more books.
Help the viewers. Well, Miss Kaye, it has been a genuine pleasure having you. I
thank you.
I always say that, you know, it's very, very rare for me to have ever met any of my authors in person, or to even have seen them on a computer screen. So any chance I get to be able to sit down, plus, I love you dearly. I've worked with you for so long. You were
we go way back, don't we?
and you were such a supporter of me starting Misti Media and wanting to be a part of it. And I will forever love you for that. It means more to me than you could ever possibly know, to have you in my corner. And it's again, we all love you. I mean, you're a good person, and we all love you to death. But having said that, I'm going to send you back to backstage for right now.
Okay.
So Linda and I can wrap up, and then we'll join you backstage and eat some more of that cheese dip that's back there. So everybody wave goodbye to Miss Kay. We're going to send her back to the green room. Thank you, Kay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Linda.
Well, how about that?
Yeah. Wow. What a writing career, and what a writing career ahead. I mean,
what really strikes me is, she talks about when her first short story was published. Dude, that's not that long ago.
No, it's
in
not.
writing term, in writing time, it's not it's not a lot of time for everything she has accomplished. There are people who've worked in the industry double that amount of time that are nowhere near as accomplished. I do think I feel like she sells herself short a little. She's infinitely more talented and accomplished.
She's very modest.
She is
very modest. Yeah.
And I think she's so deserving of more than that. Just because, I mean, to me, she's kind of a hero. She's gone through a lot. She's overcome a lot. She's dealt with some big hardships, and yet, one foot in front of the other, she just keeps going and keeps writing
good stuff. Still writing good stuff.
Absolutely knocking them out of the park. And it's one of those things as a publisher, one of the reasons why I want to do this show is because it's one thing for people to hear about the books, and there's no way for me to present the books without it constantly sounding like a sales pitch. But if I have a way to be able to put these authors, in front of their audience, maybe we can't get them a book signing or whatever in their neighborhood, but if we can get the authors in front to be able to talk about their lives and talk about what goes into it, I feel like people will really be able to see the authors as more than just a name on a cover. They'll be able to start, when they understand kind of what people have gone through and what they've done with their career, it brings a certain humanity to it that I think is really critical.
And real book people, the real readers that read like so much, they want to know what the author is really like. They want to know, oh, that's how you came to write that, because you had this interest, because you had this knowledge, because you did this studying and research, or had this hardship, or all those things bring depth to the stories when you know the background.
I mean, it's one thing to write a prehistory mystery, but to find out like how, to be able to talk to the author and see just how much research went into it, I think it becomes more of a selling point than the plot itself, when you realize how much time the author put in to making sure everything was right,
and then what the facts that she put together from what was known then, and then the facts that came out in subsequent research that, hey, look, she extrapolated correctly.
Yep.
So they're smart. They're smart books. They're fun books. They're interesting. They're well written.
I mean, you couldn't ask for more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Linda, yours and my next guest is going to be on February 3rd, same time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to be joined by Stoney Compton. Stoney is a very popular alternate history and sci-fi fantasy author. He's published through our imprint Nazca Press, and we're going to be joined by a very special guest that same night with Stoney, which is Walt Boyes, who is my editor at large over at Nazca Press, and handles all those folks for me so that I can focus my stuff elsewhere. So that's all coming up on February 3rd. What do you got going on? Anything new?
Well, I just I've got a short story class that I'm going to be teaching through
Nice.
Sierra Arts Foundation, which just in the last couple of years expanded its arts definition to include literary arts, because it had been just fine arts, painting and sculpture, and then a few years ago, artists came onto their radar, and so now we have the Sierra Arts literary community. That's a huge community of authors supporting authors, and we got classes and we got meetings, networking meetings, and I just set up a short story class because everybody was saying, how do you write short stories? Every time I try, there's just too much and I end up with a novel. And I said, well, I don't know how I write them. Let me figure it out. And so I sat down to figure out how I'm doing this. And oh, wow. Ooh, is that what happened? Ooh, okay. Because my subconscious is smarter than I am. She does the writing. I'm just the typist. So I talked with her and figured out how we're writing these. And so I've got this, it's a 3-night class, or it's afternoons. Subsequent Mondays, I think, in April. Anyway, but that's a big thing coming up. I'm doing a mentorship program, the Nevada SCBWI, Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. The Nevada chapter created the mentorship program for SCBWI about 20 years ago. And so I'm one of the mentors this year. I'm working where you work one-on-one with a writer and help them improve their stuff. And I was a participant in that as a mentee a few years back, and just really, really did wonders for my middle grade novel. So I've got some stuff like that going on.
Awesome.
And still writing. I got several projects, bunch of projects, too many going on.
Well, if anybody's interested in what Linda has already written, be sure to check out in the show notes the link to her page over at White City Press. Just a reminder, the show notes also have a link to Kaye George's website as well as her author page at White City Press. There's a link in the notes plus the JOTS form there. Just a reminder to please take advantage of our special deals on Kaye's titles. Let's get some royalties in our pocket.
And subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to our channel. Doesn't cost anything to do it.
Yep, please do subscribe. Please do share. Feel free to leave your comments. We'd love your feedback on what you'd like to see with the show, who you might like us to cover. Ideas for an intro theme song and video, we are also would be very interested in hearing. But we very much thank all of you for being a part of this. If you're watching on the rewatch after this has been live, the same deals will still apply. We're gonna leave those in the show notes, so you're welcome to take advantage of those. And until next time, on behalf of Linda and all of us here at Misti Media, thanks so much. Hope you folks have a good story filled week, and we will see you at the next time. Thank you.
Thank you, folks.